This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis, Connor Hrabchak jumping on with us. We're going to dive into a ton of off-season hockey topics today. We will also take a look at our pal Scott Wheeler from the Athletics' final mock draft. He's locked it in for Friday's first round. We'll take a look at that. We will hear from the latest from the insiders on the Hellebuyck, if you will, Darren Drager and Pierre Lebrun from the last 24 hours. And we'll also get into a power poll for our friends at Chud's Power Sports on the most intriguing teams going into Friday's draft when it comes to trades or teams with multiple picks and what they might do. So it should be a fun one today. Right off the bat, do not forget, gang, that tonight, 8 p.m., is the first event of the WST Summer Poker Series. Another one of our WST tournaments starting at 8 o'clock tonight. And this is one that you're going to want to be in because the top two finishers will get tickets into the final in August, where the winner of the final is going to the Coolbet Open in Estonia, buy into the tournament, flights, hotel, a bunch of amazing events out at the Coolbet Open. So if you haven't played in one of our tournaments before, tonight would be a great time to get in. There are 4 qualifying tournaments today, Wednesday, July 8th, Tuesday, July 21st, and Wednesday, August 5th. That's the last chance to qualify, and then the final will be the next week. So if you haven't played before, go over to Coolbet, click on Poker. Then you're going to want to click on Tournaments and just simply search WST. It'll pop up 8 p.m. tonight. It's 20 euros for the buy-in, which is $32. And don't be confused by the fact that it says June 24th. That's because HQ is overseas. So it's 8 o'clock tonight, Central Time. $100 bounty on my head, $100 on Remis's head, $100 on Hammer's head. And of course, the top 2 get the tickets to the final for that trip to the Coolbet Open. One other thing, we are a week away from our Winnipeg Goldeyes patio party. We do it every year. We've got about a dozen or so tickets left, just more than that. So if you are thinking about coming, do not wait. These tickets you get through our website, winnipegsportstalk.com. We'll meet everyone when you come in, and we'll give you a wristband to get down to the private patio area that we've got for WST listeners. We've got a private bartender in there. We're going to be set up. So would love to have you, especially you podcast listeners that might not have a chance to interact with everyone during the show daily. Grab a couple tickets, come on out. Next day is Canada Day. So an absolutely perfect day to get together, have a few, enjoy some Goldeyes baseball with the WST crew, and have the next day off to celebrate our country. Listen, we're going to get into all of this with Remo in just a minute. We do have some World Cup going on. Cristiano Ronaldo's got into the mix after the obscene scoring from the likes of Messi and Mbappe and Haaland over the last couple days. He's got a couple. Portugal cruising right now at 3-0 in Uzbekistan. Big one for the English later on. They take on Ghana at 3 p.m. Just before we bring in Reem, do want to thank all the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at Coolbet. New CFL 110 is up. Jeff and I did it this morning live on YouTube. Pop in there, leave a comment. It's brought to you by Coolbet. We've got our CFL 110 parlay, which we're cooking up. Jake will get that up. He's going to jump on the program a little bit later on today. Also want to thank Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. The Tri-Hospital Lottery, just a couple days left to get your tickets. TriHospitalDream.com. Manitoba Battery and Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, St. Vital Dental Center, Rolly's Transfer, Assiniboia Downs, the Winnipeg Goldeyes, Travel Manitoba, Boston Pizza, and of course, Little Brown Jug. We will also get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Michael Remis, what's going on?
Sitting outside, looking at the rain here, Huss, but just following all the NHL trade rumors. What a crazy time it is. Everything's on the table.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, it is sort of crummy outside, which is a perfect night to have our poker tourney tonight. So as I said, if maybe some people normally have golf, they're not going out, you can come and join us a little bit later on today. Hey, we're going to dive into the Hellebuyck stuff. But I didn't get a chance to spend much time with you talking about this yesterday. The Brady Tkachuk move to Florida. I heard Brady today speak at his introductory press conference, and like everyone, once they get what they want, they laud the place that they had left before, saying they loved their time there, and turned him into the man he is today, blah, 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 all that. Now he's with Matthew, his brother, in Florida. If you're a Sens fan, how would you be feeling today with the return that they got, but knowing how much work it took to get them into a position where they were a playoff team and they felt that they could contend and didn't contend that much? I mean, they were out in 4 games. And now getting a whole bunch of picks, which are exciting for the future, but really puts them back in the presence. I've been very interested to hear some takes from in the Ottawa market, outside of the Ottawa market. Where are you at on all that, Reem?
How should Sens fans be feeling about Brady Tkachuk?
And the trade?
Probably not great. I am seeing people like ripping the name bar off jerseys. I don't think I would ever go that far. But I think rightfully so. I mean, the guy didn't have a great playoffs, asked his way out, and that's his right. And I think every player, Huss, that is, drafted, they're not going to automatically like where they get drafted to. They don't get to pick. Like you and I get to pick where we work. They can say, hey, I want to play in the National Hockey League, but you're not automatically going to love the city. So he was 2 years away from free agency. They asked him, what the future is. Are you going to resign? He said no, and they got ahead of it. So good for them. The return, I don't think it's great. This is a playoff team. They've been building on this rebuild, and it's definitely a setback now. Can they take these picks and turn them into players that are going to help them this season? Do they go and trade for a guy like Mason McTavish, or is Matthew Nyes on the table? I don't know what they're going to do. But I think you have to give it an incomplete grade right now because they just got a bunch of stuff that can help them in the future. They do have a couple picks this year, plus their own, which they're not allowed to trade. I guess they could make the pick for someone and then trade it after. But I'm not sure. I think I would be upset now you don't have a player. So you've already had a hole in your forward lineup. Now you got another one. So I'm going to say incomplete.
This all goes down because you're right. I mean, they did sort of get ahead of it, but it's now been reported that he came back from the Olympics and while saying all the right things, requested a trade. 2 years ahead of the expiring of his the contract. And Hayes yesterday on Overdrive, I mean, he was pretty fired up, and he said, if you're a Sens fan right now, you certainly don't have a lot of love for Brady Tkachuk, who sort of talked out of both sides of his mouth and then bailed on the team. And listen, I get that players do have, rights. You earn unrestricted free agency. He signed a long-term deal with the Sens. He's had a good run there. And in 2 years, it'll be his right to choose where he wants to play. But it does seem like a lot of this stuff is coming to a head much earlier. And, what you hear players say publicly often is not what is being said behind the scenes. And I have to admit, the more and more this Hellebuyck kind of saga plays on, and we hear what is being reported by a multitude of insiders, and the fact that, he's willing to work with the Jets on a number of teams, honestly, it tells me that I don't think we're getting the full story from Hellebuyck and his people. Like, I'm not sure it is just all about winning. I don't think this is a reaction to one season last year. I think that Hellebuyck's in a very similar situation to Brady Tkachuk, that when they got back to Canada and the group chat from the gold medal champions was popping, all the other guys were having a great time being celebrated and living out their dreams as gold medalists and everything they'd come from it. And it was very, very different north of the border. Brady's already gone. We'll see what happens with Austin Matthews. But I don't know. Am I wrong? It certainly, the more we hear from the likes of Wyshynski and even LeBrun, which we'll hear in a minute, like, this doesn't seem to be get me right now to a Stanley Cup contender. It's feeling more and more about, I kind of wouldn't mind getting out of Winnipeg.
Well, if that's the case, then why are other Olympians, Dylan Larkin and Zach Werenski, and Dylan Larkin we know requested a trade, and Zach Werenski, rumors swirling around his name as well. I think if the Jets, were having a season like they were having in the President's Trophy year, I think it would be different. I think he looked at the team and said, we let Ehlers walk for nothing, and he's in the Stanley Cup final now, lifting the Stanley Cup in rally. And the answer was to sign Jonathan Taves in the final year of his career, and Gus Nyquist. And he's not seeing a lot of activity from the Jets GM and seeing activity from other GMs. I think there's some discouragement. Now, is part of being the reaction here to the USA winning and everything that came after that in his mind? Probably. But I think winning, use a term, trumps all. Said if the team was winning, the team was winning. I think you can look past that stuff. Although maybe it is different for for Brady Tkachuk. The Senators made the playoffs. They have a lot. They accumulate a lot of talent. He just didn't want to be in Ottawa anymore. But I think it's different for Hellebuyck. He's got a 5-year deal. You saw what just happened with the Jets season. I think there's obviously disappointment and probably upset about some of the reaction, but the team had a terrible year. They were in last place. He wants to win. I think winning's a factor, because if it wasn't, why are these other American guys trying to control their destiny? I don't think.
Listen. I don't know how. Come on, let's not listen. I know the Jets had a brutal season last year, but it's like we're just erasing everything this team did up until
they don't have a second line.
Last year's season.
They couldn't score.
This is not Columbus. This is not Detroit. Give me a break.
They were in last place. They couldn't score. They have one line. I don't know.
That season. But if you want to compare that situation to Dylan Larkin or Zach Werenski, there's no comparison. The Jets have been competitive. They've been consistently in the playoffs. They won the President's Trophy. Those teams have been afterthoughts, and they haven't been playoff teams, and they've been continually disappointing year after year after year. There's no comparison. Now, if you want to just say it's recency bias, it's all about the now, absolutely. We all know it's been litigated to death on this program, that last year was a step back. But it's not like the whole thing got blown up. Most of the players outside of Nikolai Ehlers that they won a President's Trophy with are still on that team. Hellebuyck himself said he believes in the team, believes in the guys, all that. I guess my point is that it is very easy to just take everything at face value. And that's an easy out right now from it. But to me, there's way more to it. And we're going to find out, because if he is traded and it is too, and listen, by the way, I'm for this. At this point now, I've said it last week, I think something is going to happen. I don't know whether it's going to be in the short term, but I do think this will eventually end in a trade of Connor Hellebuyck to a U.S. team. But if we're saying that he's open to a dozen or 12 teams, I mean, not every one of those teams are Stanley Cup contenders. One team wins every year. The Panthers have won 2 of the last 3 years. Carolina, obviously, is the new kids on the block winning. Vegas had been there. I mean, other than that, how many teams do you say, oh, absolutely, this team is just on the verge of winning the Stanley Cup? So, I mean, if there's a trade to Buffalo or there's a trade to Detroit or to Utah or one of those things, yeah, you could make the argument maybe that overall it's a better situation. You know, you look ahead to the next 3-4 years, younger players, and they might be good. But to me, there's way more than that. And I mean, that's actually a good thing too, though, for Winnipeg. And I think it's a smart thing for Hellebuyck if he does want to get out, because the Jets are not going to just say, oh, okay, and get pushed into doing something they don't want to do and get 50% value on their most important asset.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The Jets have had a run of success. You know, we were on here saying Cheveldayoff got robbed a couple years in a row for the Jim Gregory GM of the Year award, but they've taken a step back, and while they have been, pretty good in the last, 8-9 years, way better than Columbus and Detroit, I think you look ahead to the future, and I don't know, it doesn't look great. They don't have a lot of prospects. They're in the same position as all the other Canadian teams where attracting talent, is tough. And they just finished only ahead of Chicago and their division, while Utah's on the up, Minnesota, Dallas, Colorado are all ahead of them. And, before those teams, the Jets were ahead of those teams. Minnesota was the team that couldn't win in the first round. Utah was Arizona and, free square on the bingo card, pretty much. We're not trying to win. So I think the landscape has changed. And if it is about winning for Hellebuyck, maybe he sees the future and thinks there's a better option. Now, I agree with you. I'm looking at the teams. Florida seemed like a perfect fit. Now that they've traded away the assets for Tkachuk and don't seem to want to trade Anton Lundell, I agree the Jets shouldn't give him away, for nothing. But if you have a guy in the dressing room, who doesn't want to be there, that can certainly, affect the dressing room dynamic. And that was why Ottawa ultimately moved Brady Tkachuk. So I am curious, where is a fit? And we'll see. Like, would he, Frank Seravalli was saying the Red Wings, like, I guess because it's close to home, but that's a lateral move as far as chance to win a Stanley Cup. And, as far as chance to win
I brought this up yesterday just on Detroit.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, again, like, that's not a Stanley Cup contender. Don't tell me all you want to do is win and then accept a trade to Detroit. I mean, that's almost insulting. I mean, just say, you know what? I'm looking for a change of scenery. I want to leave. These are the teams that I'll go to. But, Yzerman's in a real pickle right now. And, his captain and best player wants out. They have come close to finally getting over the hump and being a playoff team. I mean, they were as high as 4th overall, I think, in January last year, and still blew it. So, I mean, there's a lot of work left to be done. The step back you take if you trade Dylan Larkin on the deal that he has is significant, and that's a really, really hard deal to make. Now, if you're able to get a Connor Hellebuyck into the mix, does that change the situation with Dylan Larkin? I would say there's a chance it does. So, maybe that's the reason why Detroit aggressively goes and does that. Unfortunately, Detroit also traded their first-round pick at the deadline for Justin Falk. They do have some good young players, though, so maybe that would be something that the Jets would be interested in. Now, Ken's got a new piece. He put this out yesterday, the who's who of potential suitors. And these are now he mentions, the Buffalo. Like talks about Noah Ostland, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I think Zach Benson's probably off. We mentioned Peyton Krebs. Like, I don't know, like a couple of those players, I guess, may move the needle. But if you're moving Connor Hellebuyck, like I want Owen Power. And maybe a Peyton Krebs or something like that. So we'll see. The Canes obviously are the one team that could do it. But the question is, I mean, like, they're Stanley Cup champs. Why would they move off any of the guys in the great contracts they've signed? Blake, Stankoven, Seth Jarvis, all of those players. Like, I mean, they're in no need to make that move. I mean, Ken's got the Columbus Blue Jackets on this list. I swear to God, if Hellebuyck is traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets, remember this segment. It ain't just about winning. There's a hell of a lot more to it that we're not being told. You know, we do have Dominion City's Denton Matejchuk that you know, Ken mentions. And then obviously you've got the Panthers. Now the Panthers, I don't know how there's a segment, I don't know how there's a paragraph about the Florida Panthers that does not mention Anton Lundell's name. The picks are all gone. You know, he said, you know, he mentions Nico Mikkola, you know, for a physical and mobile blue liner that would make a lot of sense. I'm sorry, if Connor Hellebuyck got traded for Nico Mikkola, that would go over with the Jets fan base like a fart in church. That would be, I mean, basically, like Mikkola and Lundell, we're talking. If the name Anton Lundell is not in the trade, put an X over the Florida Panthers, it ain't happening. And then there's the San Jose Sharks, and I'm glad Ken put this one in because it is fascinating in San Jose in that they've got a talented young goalie in Askarov that if you could bring back would be under team control, that would have a bright future. You know, could you possibly get Michael Misa, who was the number 2 pick last year, or the number 2 pick this year? I'm not sure. But listen, the point that I'm making is that we're talking about a bunch of these teams that are not Stanley Cup contenders. And that's a good thing for Winnipeg if they're going to make a deal. It's a good thing for Hellebuyck. Because as I said, those quote-unquote Stanley Cup contenders, like the list of 2 or 3 teams that most guys want to go, they either don't have the capital, the space, or the will or the want to make this deal. So if a trade is going to happen, it will be, I think it will be one of these other teams. And again, at that point, we'll find out that, oh, it wasn't just about, oh, the team had a bad season and I'm out. There was a lot more to it. And again, at the end, it really doesn't matter, I guess, Remis. But if it's simply only to go to a true contender, that's going to be a very, very difficult deal for Chevy to make.
Yeah, again, we looked at the teams and what they have, and it's tough. And I think traditionally you've seen goalies, you know, not go for a ton. You're not a haul. So Florida seemed like such a good fit. And we'll have to see if Buffalo or someone else bites. But by all accounts, the insiders are saying he's not pulling a Brady Tkachuk here and saying, hey, it's Florida or nowhere. And I think the Jets always do have the option to say, hey, you know what, we're not going to trade you, and you better expand that list if you really do want a change of scenery.
Let's hear the latest. This is the new WST segment, the Darren Dreger Minute, where we get the latest Dreger report on wherever he's been. This is from Insider Trading at TSN, the latest from Darren Dreger on Connor Hellebuyck's situation with the Jets.
I think the problem that the Winnipeg Jets and maybe the Hellebuyck camp are facing right now is that when you look around the league, of course, there's considerable interest in what Connor Hellebuyck might bring. And again, you're talking about a guy who's not that far removed from helping Team USA win a gold medal at the Winter Olympics. But look at it from Winnipeg's perspective here, Gino. You can't simply trade away a valued asset like Connor Hellebuyck, who's under contract until 2031, and not get back what you need. We know the Winnipeg Jets are in the market for a number 2 center. They'd like to add a depth center as well. Maybe bolster their blue line. If they trade Connor Hellebuyck, what are they doing in goal? So it'd be great to get a goaltender back as part of a package as well. The interest is there, but it's not good enough for Kevin Cheveldayoff to pull the trigger. It has to improve, and if it doesn't improve, why would Winnipeg trade Connor Hellebuyck? There's still plenty of time for this to get sorted through at this stage of the offseason, but the possibility of Winnipeg holding on to the 33-year-old goaltender has to be considered as well.
So, Darren, this is more of what we've been talking about, and I've been saying for a few weeks. This deal doesn't get done if it's not a good one for the Winnipeg Jets. If Kevin Cheveldayoff has a press conference to announce that they're trading Hellebuyck, it needs to be something that you can sell to the fan base that is a good thing for Winnipeg. I mean, if a guy wants out, we're no longer really concerned with him. As important and amazing as Connor's been for Winnipeg through all these years, it's about what does this mean for the team, for who's going to be here. And that's why I caution people that already have him out the door that this could be very difficult to make. And if that's the case, get ready to start year, one of 5 more years of the contract here in Winnipeg. Now, if they're more amicable to other spots, like we talked about, maybe this deal has a better chance of doing it. And Pierre LeBrun touched on this a little bit more. So you be the judge. Here is LeBron on overdrive yesterday, talking about the way it's been described is Hellebuyck is open to a change of scenery and will work with the Jets.
Listen, Connor Hellebuyck is very much open to a change. I mean, that's hardly breaking news. But I think to the point where, I think he'll work with the Jets. I mean, he's got control with a no trade, but I think he'll be pretty flexible so that the Jets can try and maximize his value. That's my understanding. I will tell you that for sure the Florida Panthers continue to hover around him. I don't know now that they've spent a lot of assets on Brady Tkachuk if they can pull it off anymore. And the reason for that is I just don't think the Florida Panthers will trade Anton Lundell. Anton Lundell is a guy that Ottawa originally wanted in those conversations with Florida, and the Panthers just stayed absolutely 100%, no-fly zone on Anton Lundell. The Panthers view him as a number 1 center, even though they have Sasha Barkov. They feel they have 2 number 1 centers. And so, Winnipeg's looking for a number 2 center. I mean, I just think Florida will not include Lundell in any Hellebuyck deal, so it would have to somehow be packaged differently. And I don't know that Florida can pull that off, but I don't know. Bill Cito keeps adding superstar after superstar, so I shouldn't put it past them. But there are other teams that have interest in Hellebuyck, so that's an incredibly fascinating one to me, because I know you talked about Hellebuck's struggles in the past in the playoffs, but believe me, teams still view him as a top 5 guy, and at $8.5 million a year with term, that's seen as a heck of a contract now with the salary cap escalating. So, we'll see where that trade goes. But for Winnipeg, they need a second line center out of that, I think, and they need plus for them to be comfortable moving him.
So again, I mean, that is, we've moved pretty far since that end of season presser from Hellebuyck, with it being all about winning. Now I'm working with the team, trying to find a spot, being amicable to some other spots. And back to the Panthers. The Panthers, the one that made a lot of sense because of Lundell. If it's no Lundell, it's no deal. Move on. Thank you very much. We'll talk about this with Brandon coming up, and we'll get back to it. I also want to hit Scott Wheeler's mock for Friday night and get everyone's thoughts on what he has ending up for the Winnipeg Jets at number 8. But Brandon Rewucki is going to jump on in just a minute. Folks, you've got just a couple days to get your tickets for the Tri-Hospital Dream Lottery in support of the Health Sciences Center, the St. Boniface Hospital, and the HSC Children's Hospital are 3 most important hospitals right here in the province of Manitoba. 2 days and just 10 hours as we go live right now to get them in. The grand prize draw, one of 5 dream home packages worth $1.7 million. or $1.35 million cash, tax-free, the biggest grand prize ever yet in the hospital lotteries. The 50-50 plus is also over 1.2 million, so the winner will be taking home over 600 grand. Get your tickets for that. And don't forget the extra cash plus, 125 winners with 170K in all cash prizes. Get your tickets now. You got 2 days to do it, all for a very, very important cause. Our 3 major hospitals in town. TryHospitalDream.com is where you get your tickets. TryHospitalDream.com, and you can also get them in person at your local London Drugs or Red River Co-op location. Folks, our good friends at Clean Line, great supporters of WST and, of course, the Winnipeg Jets, and your leader in residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical for over 40 years. It's one of those calls you don't want to have to make, but when you do, you're happy they're there. Clean Line, of course, 24/7 emergency services. 204-500-2001 is the number. Mark that down, and when you unfortunately have to make that call, Clean Line will be there right away as Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers with over 40 years of fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Make an appointment today online at cleanline.ca. Big Bomber game on Thursday night. Our friends at Manitoba Battery are ready to go, powering the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as a big supporter of the blue and gold and the go-to spot for batteries at the best prices in town with the best in customer service. Summer's here. You need battery for your bike, your ATV, your boat, your three-wheeler, whatever it is. Manitoba Battery's got it and has got it at the best price. So save money, shop local, and get the best in customer service from our friends at Manitoba Battery. They are available online, manitobabattery.com, and check them out at Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive with citywide delivery options as well inside the perimeter. Just before we bring in Brandon, if you have a move coming up, holler at our friends at Rolly's Transfer, family-owned and operated for over 60 years, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba, and a great supporter of WST for years. Head on over to Rollies.com. Top right corner, you'll see Request an Estimate. Use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then let them know when and where you're planning on moving and what needs to be moved. And the friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rollies, the most trusted name in the game. Hit them up online today at Rollies.com. All right, let's bring in Brandon Rewucki of Skates and Plates. Rue, what's going on? How was your Father's Day? How was the weekend?
Yeah, no, it was good, man. Got to get out on the golf course for a little bit, ate some good food, so all was well. All was well. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I didn't have any Father's Day duties. I talked to my dad. I was up at the lake, obviously. I always got to do that. But, I watched that bum Wyndham Clark win the U.S. Open. How about I have never seen anything like that. I don't think there's ever been anything like that outside of a Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
But for an American on American soil. Now, listen, he made his bed, and now he's sort of sleeping in it. I mean, the guy's been sort of a jerk, and the incident in Oakmont last year really lit people up. But that was absolutely savage what happened to him. And you know what? It would have been legendary if he did blow it. But there was almost so much on him. Part of me was like, okay, I'm almost glad that he won because he had to earn it on that final 18 holes. That was ugly.
I don't know how you come back from that if you blow it with the crowd against you. It's funny too because he had in a much more this makes sense sort of a way. Like just a week or two ago, had the Canadian crowd all up against him, and he kind of faded down the stretch at the RBC. But yeah, I mean, I was with everybody else. I wasn't happy that Wyndham picked up the win, but he played pretty. He made 2 pretty legendary shots. In round 3 that 3-wood to within 5 feet for eagle, and then that big putt on the final day to kind of put it away finally. So I mean, yeah, it was kind of a bummer. wasn't the most exciting U.S. Open I think we've ever seen. We'll see if the Open can right things. But yeah, the last two just kind of been meh on so far. I think the entire New York crowd there was just doing everything they could to will Scotty into it. Like they were just waiting for a Scotty surge to come, and he just never really could totally put it together. And it's Sam Burns is cool, but he's not an overly charismatic It was just like a muted crowd, a muted major.
The guy we needed was Tom Kim. Tom Kim could have set that place on fire with a couple more birdies.
Yeah. So it's too bad, but we move on.
Speaking of moving on, what a segue.
Yeah.
Where are you at on the Hellebuyck situation right now? We talked about it right off the bat. I'm so far beyond kind of taking everything at face value from any of these guys. We've seen it now with Brady Tkachuk, who came back, said all right things about how much he loved it, and he requested a trade. And now at the end of the season, it was all about winning. My time's short. And listen, I'm not saying that wasn't true, but now we're talking about maybe being open to a bunch of other options, which tell me that there's a lot more to it, which is a good thing for Winnipeg if they are going to trade him. I mean, you don't want to have. Listen, if it comes down to it where there's only one or two places that he wants to go and the Jets don't get the deal, guess what, Connor? You got 5 years left on this deal. Say hi to, ice fishing on Lake Winnipeg again on your off days this year. But where are you at right now on this? The number of teams that potentially are interested, and can and will something get done before the weekend? Or are you of the opinion this is now where we're at, probably going to be a tough needle to thread and could be going well into the offseason and maybe next year?
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me when the Samoskevich trade happened, it was like The Office, Jeff. It's happening. Here it is. This is it, right? They're loading up, and
it was happening.
And it was happening. Not the way everybody anticipated. I mean, I think it's pretty unlikely now, to be honest. You look, and I get that reportedly Hellebuyck has opened his, teams he'd be willing to go to. But it comes down more so to me, which teams would even fill that gap, right? And it's a team that is clearly either a playoff team or a horrific year the year prior, but a team that has, their eyes on contention. But then on top of it, and more importantly, really from Chevy's side of it, has legitimate high-end assets that they can give up. And when you put those two things together, that wipes out a vast majority of the NHL. And then you need to have a team that has a hole in net, right? So Florida being gone, I guess it can happen still. The only way is if Lundell goes the other way, and I just don't think Bill Zito is going to bite on that. So then you look at some of the other teams that are mentioned there, and I think right now it comes down to a combination of Buffalo. I think Utah is still in the mix. I think they're actually my favorite sleeper team, Carolina, New Jersey, and that's pretty much it. And even then, with New Jersey, how much do they want to necessarily get in? I don't know. And so do we really think that there's going to be significant traction in the next 4 days on this? I don't know. I think it's all a little unexpected. And I think, we all know what Kevin Cheveldayoff does in situations like this. You can meet my asking price or we don't have a trade. It's up to you how you want to go about this. But I'm not budging on this. So I think the Brady Tkachuk trade, I don't know, man. 10% that Hellebuyck's moved now. I would be really, really shocked if it happened now. I just think that was all the stars are aligning type of a move. And with that deal seemingly on life support right now, I think Connor Hellebuyck is going to start this season in Winnipeg, and we see where things go from there.
You brought up Utah, and again, listen, I have no idea whether that's a place that Helly would be willing to go to. The more we're hearing from, the insiders, it sounds like there's a lot more teams that he's open to than one that would just be clear Stanley Cup contenders right now. But Utah is fascinating to me because they do have, a bunch of talented young players. They've been picking high for a number of years. I'm not sure the second line center is there, just that they're not trading Cooley. They just extended him at $10 million a year. Nick Schmaltz just signed, and got a full no move. And Clayton Keller's their captain. He's got 2 years left, and he's got a full no move. So it's tough to imagine that center position just being taken care of. I mean, they do have some younger players. Jack McBain's there, but I mean, he's not coming in to be.
No, you'd be looking at the prospects then, where they have Ginla and Caleb Desnoyers, the fourth overall pick last year. There's some debate about is Tij a Ginla center or a winger. I don't really care. He's at a Ginla, so it's like we'll figure it out once he gets here, sort of a thing. But that's why I wonder about Utah. Like, they're one of the few teams that have, and I mean, you can debate if Winnipeg ultimately wants something like that, but that's a pretty, in terms of getting high-end assets back as opposed to a collection of draft picks. I think Jets fans could feel good about the return in a trade like that if it was highlighted by either Tij Ginla or Caleb Desnoyers. And maybe that's not your second line center next year, but it wouldn't be too far off from that before they'd be filling that void for you. And then, who knows what else comes back in that. I mean, maybe Vejmelka at that point, so he doesn't have to haunt the Jets anymore, and they could put him in the crease. But there would be several options for the Jets after that. But using one of those two young players as the centerpiece, there's worse deals out there right now, Huss, if you've seen some of the rumored proposals from other clubs.
Yeah, they have $13 million in cap space, just over 13 mil. I mean, they got most of their forwards, although Lawson Krause needs a deal. He's a UFA, whether that's there or elsewhere, we'll see. Liam O'Brien. And then, Stenny, Yamamoto, Rooney, Kerfoot are all UFAs. Barrett Hayton's an RFA. So they will need to use some of this money for their players that are there right now. Their defense is pretty much locked up for the most part for next year. Vejmelka is interesting. Vejmelka's got a 10-team no trade.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing about Vejmelka is that, I mean, to be honest, at under $5 million, if you could say, listen, you want to be here with Connor Hellebuyck? Like, Carl, I'm not sure. You might want to talk to Eric Comrie or just look at his game log for the last few years. Like, this is what you're in for if you stick around and hold this up. So maybe he comes and knows that he'll be a clear-cut number one and, get a chance to play a lot and could be around. But yeah, to me, it's absolutely the young players. Ginla's really, really intriguing. I don't know as much about Desnoyers, but I mean, he's a center and he was picked 4th overall. That was last year's draft?
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. That works for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, and I think that is the sort of thing. And again, I keep coming back to this has to be a win for the Jets. I mean, this is not just to do favors for a guy that wants out. Because this is a real crucial time. I mean, when you think about last year and how things went, how poorly they went after such a great season the year before, like, I think people can handle it not happening right away if we can actually see the work being done and the players in the organization that give us hope that there is this next push coming forward. Because that's maybe been the most concerning thing about the Jets for the last few years, the lack of that in the organization. So if you're moving off of a guy like Hellebuyck, I think a package like that might actually even be at least on par with a big win like getting a guy like Lundell. Certainly he's a little bit more proven. He is. I mean, he's got 2 Stanley Cup rings. He's got a great contract, and he's 24 years old. But the potential of 2 high picks like that, especially, again, like if Utah was interested in doing that, all of a sudden, you throw Hellebuyck into that lineup for a team that made big strides last year, maybe we could start talking about Utah amongst the at least top end of the Western Conference to compete, win a round, be Final Four. Still have a hard time putting them over a bunch of other teams in the West, but I mean, that is what it would be, I think, if they got Hellebuyck and didn't have to take from their actual active roster right now.
Yeah, that would be the big thing for them is like we don't deplete ourselves. Like and then they would assume there's some internal progression and maybe a full healthy season of Cooley, and you know what? Maybe they take the leap, and then they're backstopped by a former 3-time Vezina winner. So and I know Utah's been in the mix. It seems like for a lot of the big names up front, but I mean, maybe there's a lot of teams that are in the mix right now, and maybe as opposed to paying a price for something like that, you kind of do a 180, and if we can get the best possible player available, and even though it would be a goalie, like maybe that's a different way we can build our team. So yeah, I think the Mammoth make a lot of sense as a potential attraction. Even just, you know, the city itself, it's pretty similar to Winnipeg. Like he'd have a lot of the the outdoorsy stuff that we know Connor Hellebuyck likes. You know, I think it ticks a lot of the boxes there. Like you mentioned some of the other teams, Buffalo. I wonder about Buffalo. Like, you know, with Hellebuyck having some level of say in it. I know they had an amazing year last year, but they could also very easily Buffalo it up, if you know what I mean.
Well, listen,
like,
that's a question of how bad you want out of Winnipeg.
Yeah, so
because,
it's like
are you looking to just go to the top teams in the league, or do you just want out? We got a landing spot for you in Buffalo. If the answer is yes, then we know what we're dealing with a lot more than what we were told.
Yeah, that's a real monkey paw situation. Like, I want to go to a first place team, and then, I'm in Buffalo for the next 7 years, and I love watching the Sabres be good. It's best for the NHL when they are, but like, I don't know, you just kind of take a step back maybe if you're committing the final like 5-6 years of your career and that. But regardless of that, like Buffalo is interesting. You know, Carolina, do they have the assets to get it done? I'm not so sure. I know Carolina, yeah.
Well, Carolina has the assets, just where they're willing to give them up. Think about those contracts they have.
Yeah,
Seth
but
Jarvis, Stankoven, Blake.
I don't think they're trading any of them though.
Neither do
problem. So
and do they have a need to do? They're having a parade right now.
They're having a parade, but they, as Bill Zito has shown, like teams like to have 2 parades and then a third parade. And maybe they felt like they could get by without goaltending this time around. Maybe they feel like it's unlikely that Bussy and Anderson are going to get the job done in Cup Run 2.0. So, I think Carolina can be in the mix because Eric Tulsky likes to go big game hunting.
This is a good segue. Check this out. Remis just sent me this from Emily Kaplan with ESPN. The Connor Hellebuyck smoke is real. The star goalie for Team USA at the Olympics has made it clear he's not happy with the status quo in Winnipeg, leading the Jets to take calls. The Panthers were exploring the possibility, but it's unclear if they can still make the move after spending 3 first-round picks on Hrabchak. And then in brackets, Florida has been unwilling to part with Anton Lundell, but Eetu Luostarinen or Evan Rodriguez are always possibilities. Not getting it done for Hellebuyck.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. But here's what's interesting. As always, keep an eye on Vegas and Carolina as stealthy players for any big names. How in the world does a trade with the Vegas Golden Knights that's not a 3-way deal work? Like, I guess maybe you'd like to have Brett Howden. He's $2.5 million, but that's a piece of a much larger deal. I mean, I'm pulling Vegas up right now. It ain't Marner, Jack Eichel, Mark Stone. People always say, we'll give them a Hurdle. Well, Hurdle is 32, does play some center, modified no trade. Think he's going to want to sign up for that? Oh, yeah, great. You guys are getting Hellebuyck. Oh, I'm going the other way. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. William Karlsson, 33, 10-team no trade. Barbashev, which is, here are the forwards without trade protection. Nick Dowd, Keegan Colasar, Howden, and then Riley Smith-Sod, Colton Sissons, Cole Smith are all UFAs. And, of course, there's Dorofeyev, who is a pretty intriguing player, 25, winger, RFA, needing a new contract with arbitration coming off a big year. So, I mean, then you talk about the defense. Rasmus Anderson's a free agent. I mean, there's just no
There's nothing there, man. There's nothing
any way that a Vegas deal makes sense for Winnipeg because I can't.
No, it would be catastrophic. Like there's no return that would make sense for the Jets. It shouldn't even be a discussion point. Like Vegas would be going so far down. Like we'll give you 10 pieces for one sort of a trade, but like 10 nickels for $1 doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's I know Vegas is going to be swimming around because that's what they do. And like, hey, good teams check in on the big names that become available. But if I'm Chevy, it's just like appreciate it. We'll reach out if something comes up here, but don't anticipate a phone call back. There's just so many. There's 4 or 5 teams that could put together 2 to 3 times the package that Vegas could without even blinking. So no thanks on that.
There's also the optics of helping out the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, if you did do a trade with that team, and I would put the Panthers in the exact same category, for a team like Winnipeg that's already fighting this uphill battle against all these other variables, like if any inkling of the fan base was like, we're just going and helping these guys out, we're playing their game, we're now in a 2-tiered NHL, and we're like a feeder team. We get great players. This guy does it. They want out. We just serve them up. They can go win cups. Like, it's almost distasteful to Jet fans. So that's why, I mean, again, the pressure on Chevy to get this right and to have it be something that this fan base is excited about, and you can justifiably say this makes sense for Winnipeg now and in the future. Because again, you're trading Connor Hellebuyck for 5 years at one of the best contracts in the NHL. And that, Brandon, has a ton of value as well, which is why the likes of Lundell should be in these conversations. And if they're not, it's a non-starter.
Yeah, and I think this is important where fans at every market take a step back and like you look at the Linus Ullmark trade, for example, right? All due respect to Linus Ullmark, we're talking about different stratospheres of goaltender here. Connor Hellebuyck legitimately has a chance to be, I mean, he's probably a top 10 goalie of all time right now, but like who knows how much higher he can climb up on the rankings. Guys that have won the Hart Trophy as a goalie, they just don't come around very often. So this isn't just like a give us your spare parts here and we'll figure it out from there. I think even for Chevy, 9th overall would have been nice, but like I don't know if I would have loved to get the Brady Tkachuk package from Florida. Like to me, it's just so much more important. And I get you can trade picks and it's like, well, it's not like you have to make the selection, but there's such an importance here. I think there needs to be like an actual look of insight into how Jets management is going to attack this, and that you don't want to say it's just for things like ticket sales and fan excitement and things like that, but like there does need to be an element of that thrown in where it's like we can't just have 4 first-round picks come in and then the barn has 6,000 people next year. How can you thread that needle of getting the best possible package, trying to be a little bit competitive next year, but hey, maybe it is a bit of a future element to it, right? And you're setting the franchise up for success in the best way you can, given the hand you were dealt here.
Well, the one thing is, though, I mean, listen, if you told me that was the trade that the Jets had made, I'd be like, okay, maybe they can move a pick or two and get, one of those other younger players, because that's who they need. They need the Lundells out there. They need guys that are 23, 24, under team control, or have signed long-term deals that can be traded so they can come in and be part of this core for a long time. If they did make a more futures-based package, though, and this is why I've always thought that Hellebuyck's the linchpin of all of this, like what does that do, in particular to Josh Morrissey? I mean, Morrissey's the next guy up. There's 2 years left on his deal. If you are going in that direction, all of a sudden is Morrissey's name. And then, you're sort of pushed into that rebuild that I know they have been loath to get in, partly because of the commitments they've made to guys like Hellebuyck, who now apparently wants out.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a full kind of strip it down to the studs sort of a deal there, right? And then you get into, well, what about Connor and Scheifele at that point? Like where they kind of see the writing on the wall. And then who knows where it goes from there sort of a thing. And I'm not even opposed to the Jets, making deals with an eye towards, maybe basically not focusing solely on this upcoming season. Like I think it's okay to do that here. But whenever you trade a legitimate star player, or you are dealing by far the best asset in a potential trade package, I mean, I don't know what the hit rate is. It's got to be 5 to 10%. But if you're getting 2-3 picks and kind of B assets back, teams lose those trades 9 times out of 10, right? And you just even if it isn't a huge 3-4 things coming back, but it's just that one big one, like that's something that I think you can live with and still win. And that's why I think Florida and Winnipeg have been in this back and forth for probably a couple weeks right now. And so that's why I ultimately look at the whole situation here and go, like, do we really think, like, do we feel and have a hunch that one of these teams is going to give up either a top 5 pick or a high-end premium young player? And I kind of have my doubts we're going to see that happen in 2 to 3 days.
Hey, this segment's brought to you by your Prairie Toyota dealers and the Toyota Tacoma. With the standard I-Force engine boasting an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds, it's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And the available panoramic multi-terrain view monitor gives you a live underfloor view to navigate even the toughest terrain. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag Days. As we've been talking, Mike Babcock's been introduced to the Edmonton media. It's happening, Brandon. It is happening. This, to me, is going to go one of 2 ways. They win the Stanley Cup, or it is an absolute epic disaster that ends with McDavid gone, potentially trading Draisaitl, and right back into, dare I say it, plug your ears, Oiler fans, the 2000s.
The decade of darkness, 2027 to 2037. I mean, that's all it is, though. Like, literally everyone in the organization, minus Sam Cates, is, we have to do it this year. Like, that's it. So they have to figure it out. And that was basically their genius idea, is that Mike Babcock's going to be the guy to get it over. Mike Babcock thinks Mike Babcock can do it. I know that for sure. And Mike Babcock doesn't think Mike Babcock did anything wrong in Columbus. So I don't know if is he speaking like at a presser right now, or
apparently.
Okay, and so I'll look forward to
one
it.
That was just sent to me. This is this is funny. He said yes, he doesn't think he crossed the line in Columbus. Quote, "It was very evident before the year started. I hadn't benched anybody. I hadn't talked to anybody. I hadn't sat anybody out. And it was evident that we weren't together as a staff right from the get-go. My wife gave me a call. She said, it's time to get out of there. I've been retired. I was pretty good at it. I got back to being retired." And then here it is. A follow-up question asked whether he thinks he crossed the line. No, to be honest with you. Anytime you make anybody feel uncomfortable in your life, you should take a look at yourself and you should say, how could I do that better? And I think that's what you do, is as a person, is you try to always be better at what you do. The situation in Columbus, they've had a full review, and I'm thankful the NHL and NHLPA for doing that. It didn't work out for us. It never even started. We're excited about making it work here. It certainly is an all-in move. And this would have been a non-starter. I mean, people have so little faith and trust in Oilers management. And that's why you had to have the likes of Stoff and Hrabchak and everyone saying, hey, whoa. This is all led by the players. These are the guys that want him.
Yeah.
Because without the stamp from McDavid and Draisaitl, this would have been unanimously shot down. And I don't even think they get to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's funny, too, because Babcock kind of hides away the question mark that still surrounds the team, is who's going to stop a beach ball for them in the playoffs, too. Like, they've given them so many of their little assets to field a bottom 5 goaltending tandem. And on top of it, like they have to ship off Darnell Nurse for nothing. And then they have to, once they do that, then improve both the forwards and the defense. And at the same time, we have to find a goalie. And we have a potential narcissistic sociopath as our bench boss. But other than that, like it's Stanley Cup time in Edmonton. So,
hey, before we go, thoughts on the World Cup and our big game tomorrow at 2. And by the way, we're going early tomorrow. I do not want to be doing the show while Canada's playing Switzerland. So we're starting at noon tomorrow, and we're going right up until 2. We're going to be live at Boston Pizza Taylor. So I would suggest that you ditch work in the afternoon, if at all possible. Come by for a bite and join us. We'll stick around and watch the game afterwards. It starts at 2. Big one tomorrow, and big opportunity for Canada after the beatdown of Qatar.
it's pretty crazy. Like 7 days of rest versus 3 or 4, playing on home soil, traveling all the way out to LA. Like there's a decent amount actually on the line in this game, even with qualification, 99% of the way done. So it'll be a good one. I'm intrigued because, we haven't seen basically Canada play the way that they've been designed to play. Like they like to absorb pressure and try to hit you on the counter. And for the most part, they just dominated the ball and possession and everything these last 2 games against lesser opposition. So I'm intrigued to see how this one goes. But, maybe Jonathan David found the scoring touch. I know you mentioned that last week when we spoke, that hitting Jonathan David to get on the score sheet was a pretty easy tap in for you. So I'm feeling cautiously optimistic, and I think the boys can get a result.
Cannot wait. Hey, listen, Brandon, great stuff as always. Going to be an interesting few days. First round, we're going to dive into Scott Wheeler's mock with Connor and Remo in just a minute. Lots going on, but we'll chat very soon. You have a good one, pal.
Beauty. Sounds good. We'll talk soon. See you guys.
All right, there's our buddy Brandon Rewucki on the program. If you missed it earlier, we got the first qualifier tourney for the Coolbet Open in Estonia tonight. Our regular WST tourney, $100 bounty on my head, Remis's head, Jeff Hamilton's head. Starts at 8 p.m. Go to Coolbet, click on poker, get into tournaments, search WST. We'll see you at 8 p.m. and good luck on being one of the top 2 qualifiers to win the last 2 will get a ticket into the final for that trip to the Coolbet Open. Princess Auto Stadium is going to be rocking on Thursday night. We're all going to be there. Cannot wait. If you haven't been, though, to the new Princess Auto flagship store on Panet Road, what the heck have you been waiting for? It is the talk of the town and has been since it opened a couple of weeks ago. We're planning on doing a show out there in a couple of weeks. Cannot wait for that. They got a great restaurant, smash burgers. You want to roll around and shop with a beer, you can do that. Free ice cream for the kids. You want to try a crossbow, you want to work in the shop. It's all there, and it really needs to be seen to be believed. The brand new Princess Auto flagship store for the entire company right here in Princess Auto's home of Winnipeg is open now over on Panet Road. You can find out more online at princessauto.com. Our friends at Chud's Power Sports are actually going to get into a Chud's Power poll in just a minute. But I do want to thank our friends at St. Patel Dental Center for their great support. Shout out to Dr. Terry. I hope you didn't have a dental appointment tomorrow because the doctor is out. He's going to be in Vancouver cheering on Canada in this big game against the Swiss. But if you are looking to get an appointment in before kind of summer holidays kicks in or the early part of July, hit them up online, stpateldental.ca. They've been serving generations of Winnipeggers and have a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's Road. Convenient free parking right behind the building. They'll take care of it all. When we're talking cleanings, checkups, to things like dental implants, they really do it all and handling clients from 6 months to 99 plus. St. Patel Dental Center, 167 St. Anne's. Make an appointment today at stpateldental.ca. And as I mentioned earlier, tomorrow, the big game is at 2 o'clock. We're going to be live at Boston Pizza Taylor again. Figured we'd run it back after a very successful live show and Canada win last week. Let's do it again. The boys need a minimum of a draw to win Group B. Join us tomorrow if you want to pop by for the show, great, or just come by afterwards for the game at 2 o'clock all the Boston pizzas in town will be having Canada Red watch parties. So throw the red on, and you can win great prizes at your local BP as well with great specials and grand prize throughout their World Cup. Someone is going to be going to the World Cup final in New York City. All right, let's get the guys back in here. Michael Remis returns, and Connor Hrabchak, fresh off of a stellar job producing another amazing edition of CFL 110 this morning. Connor, what's up? How are you?
Doing great, Huss. I feel like every time I come onto the show this week, you know that GIF or that meme of Donald Glover walking in with the pizza and everything's on fire? I just feel like every time I come on the show, I'm like smiling with the pizza, and then it's just like chaos and everything's on fire. That's just this week in the NHL offseason, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, it's funny. I don't know. I mean, do you consider it like the fact that Helly wants out as much as he does? I guess you could feel like that is a fire. But if you've wrapped your head around the possibility of a trade and what it could do for the Jets, to be honest, finding out that maybe it isn't just about going to the best team in the league, the Florida Panthers, and being open to a number of options, I think is good news for the Winnipeg Jets if you are of, yes, there it is. If you are of the opinion that, this trade could be an avenue for the Winnipeg Jets to really sort of reset where they are and help move into this next generation post-core that has been such a big part of this team for the last decade.
For sure. And I've been pretty consistent with being kind of the anti-Larkin route in the noise around a trade request, right? Like I've been pretty consistent in saying if Hellebuyck is going to be traded, what you want is it for it to be kept under wraps, for multiple teams to believe that they're in it. And then you're hearing insiders floating that Hellebuyck's list is maybe longer than others, like the Tkachuks and the Larkins of the world. It's maybe not just Vegas, Florida, and Minnie like Larkin. But I think if Hellebuyck is going to be traded, this is going the way that you'd want it to go, where it's not an outward public trade request, like an Elliot Friedman article stating very clearly that he has requested a trade and he's only going to these three teams, etc. It sounds like Hellebuyck's willing to work with the Jets. It sounds like there's a longer list of teams and options that could be available for the Winnipeg Jets. And if they are going to move him, that just results in a bidding war and ultimately a better package coming back for the Winnipeg Jets. So, again, I know a lot of people don't want to see Hellebuyck traded. He's got the most individual accolades of any Winnipeg Jet ever, and he's a guy that you picture as a Jet for life, and that would suck. But if he is going to get moved, the more teams kind of in the mix and bidding against one another, the better. And hopefully Kevin Cheveldayoff, backed into a corner, can hit another one with one of these trade packages. We'll see.
Listen, it would be great to get it be above what the asking price is. But the bottom line is I've been solid on this trade doesn't happen if he doesn't get his asking price. And
right.
If there's no Lindell, see you later, Florida Panthers. And then you move on to some other options. And the more options there are is a good thing for Cheveldayoff in Winnipeg. But I think it also tells us it's a lot more than, there is an element of wanting to move, and, maybe they can make that happen. Remis, do you want to say it? Your favorite line?
We're going to be hearing it during the draft. This is draft week. We have a trade to announce, and
spoken by Liz Hood in the chat, by the way. Shout out Liz.
Yeah. I was going to say shout out to Liz in the chat, and normally people are shouting out hypothetical trades. I'm like, is that a real trade? But here it is. Elliot Friedman and the rest of the insiders follow. Hearing Simon Nemec from New Jersey, a defenseman, being traded to Calgary. We'll have to wait and see where the return is. But this is a name who's been on trade boards, been out there for years. It was a top draft pick. Was he number 2 or 3?
2 overall.
So he's a high pick. Hasn't worked out in New Jersey. We've said they've got a number of defensemen. Wasn't getting a ton of playing time. And Calgary, they have a lot of draft picks. So I wonder if this is a draft pick trade or what they call a hockey trade, Hustler, where you have actual NHL players in the deal. So we'll have to wait and see what it is as I search around. But Elliot, I don't know which insider had it first, but one of them had it. And then you had the train of all of them.
The train. I was just looking at the same thing. I just put in Nemec. And Elliot Friedman is first. Then is Pierre.
Traeger's in there.
VR Open Ice. Okay, here it is. Friedman, Nemec, and Siplikov for a second-round pick this year, the Rangers pick. Vegas is first in 2027. Colorado's first in 2028. Both top 10 protected. And Etienne Morin.
You got 2 1s and a 2 for Nemec?
2 1s. I mean,
Wow.
There'll be 2 late ones.
Still, I mean, it's higher than I thought it would be.
And a second round. I mean, well, I guess we should say, I mean, he is a second overall pick. Big right shot defenseman. Hasn't been entirely seamless in New Jersey, and obviously they're willing to move off of him. But it's an interesting trade for Jersey to make, too, because that sort of seems like a team that has been in the mix to try to, push forward. This is a real disappointing season. I mean, we thought that they might be like a cup contender. They missed the playoffs. So Nemec and how old is Siplikov?
That's a good question.
that?
Siplikov is 27 and had 2 points in 22 games with the New Jersey Devils last year.
Okay, so this is just
that's a throw in. Yeah.
This is a very a player that is very much on the periphery. Remo, what do you think?
Yeah, well, Nemec wasn't really playing for them. He was like a third pair D to occasionally get power play time when they had injuries. But you look at their defense, he just wasn't really part of the team. So I think you'd like to get a player, but you weren't really sure like what this guy was worth. Yeah, he was a high pick, but that was a while ago. You've seen him play. He couldn't crack the lineup. They had Hamilton, Hughes, Pesce, Dillon, Kovacevic, and Siegenthaler. Nemec's an RFA, so Calgary's going to have to sign him to a deal. I'm sure it's going to be like $1 million or something small. And New Jersey's got a smart new GM in Meta looking to make a splash. And did they trade those picks? Like those they are first round picks, but as you said, they're late first, being Vegas and Colorado. So I guess they got what they could for this player who's been rumored to be on the trade block for a while. And we'll see if they make those picks or if they package those for a while. I don't mind getting 2 firsts and a second for this player who, again, wasn't part of their lineup. He wasn't part of their plan.
And you know what? The key thing, I think, for Meta, I mean, those assets, whether they're used now, whether they're used at the deadline, I mean, first-round picks are sort of the currency of, those big trades. You have to have something. And the fact that they're going to have an extra pick in the next 2 drafts is certainly going to give him a lot of flexibility.
Siplikov, we mentioned his point total, which was 2 in 22 games. I mean, this is a nice cap dump for them. You're getting rid of $2.25 million. So it gives you some additional flexibility as well. I don't know if they're going after Alex Tuck, or are they doing, they have another move in the pipeline here. So I'm interested to see how he's going to approach their team, being a new GM, with the background that he has with Florida. He used to blog with Murat at one time, who Murat came in, and so I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm very intrigued. So I'm giving it a thumbs up for New Jersey here.
All right, let's get into this. I want to do a Chud's Power Sports Power Poll for our friends at Chud's, Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore at the corner of Highway 8 and 231 in Gimli. You got to check it out right now. There is so much going on. The Polaris All-Out Summer Sales event. They've got the Kobe Motos, but you can save up to $4,000 on select off-road vehicles right now. They've got the amazing RVs right now. You can check out the full line of Auroras. You want a new fishing boat, low boats, and obviously, dirt bikes, off-roads. with great financing programs, competitive rates, and quick and easy approval. They've got you covered. They've been doing it for 80 years. Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli. Check them out online, chudspowersports.com. All right, guys, these are the most intriguing teams. We'll take Winnipeg out of it because I think a lot of the intrigue is maybe a potential deals with Winnipeg. But the most intriguing teams going into the draft on Friday. Remo, do you want to just put up the list, or do we want to?
Do you want to do a blind? You sent me the list.
Sure.
I wasn't sure what order you.
Why don't you? Yeah, let's blind rank, and we'll have a few words on everything, and then you and Connor can sort of react to it all.
Here's the first one: Utah, ranking them 1 to 5.
All right, Utah Mammoth. To me, I'm gonna say Utah is. Let's maybe put them in at 3. We'll put them right in the middle. I was tempted to put them even higher. For many of the reasons that we've talked about. They have the assets, not necessarily of picks, but of young players that could definitely be used to beef up this roster now. They made the playoffs last year. They took a big step forward, but weren't able to last in that series. And I think they've learned a lot of lessons. And I do think that management will be moving forward aggressively behind under Ryan Smith to take that team to the next level. So Utah will throw in at 3. The Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres, I'm going to put at 4. Listen, the Sabres have a lot of talent. They do have some players like an Owen Power that has struggled at times, sort of really turned around, I thought, in the second half of last year, played pretty well in the playoffs, and other players that they need to sign. But it seems like they're finally on the cusp of being a contender. How do they replace Alex Tuch if he leaves in free agency? Is there a trade to be made in that? They traded Kesselring and got the pick moved up to 20. How does that sound? Buffalo's in at 4 on this Chud's Power Sports Power Poll. All right, the St. Louis Blues are a team that not a lot of people are talking about, but they're very intriguing to me. I'm going to actually put them into the number 2 hole because they are picking at 11. They're picking at 15 with Detroit's pick from the Falk trade. And they also have Colorado's pick at 29. So 3 first-round picks. I'm intrigued with people that have multiple picks, period, especially in the second half of the draft, because potentially the Ruck twins could go to one spot. But there's also been all the noise. It was Robert Thomas at the deadline. That's quieted down. Does Jordan Kyrou get moved? There's no doubt that Alex Steen and the staff there have some things they'd like to do. They've got 3 first-round picks. I think St. Louis is a team that could definitely be on the move. That's why they're at number 2. The Ottawa Senators. I think the Senators have to be number 1 at this point. The first domino has fallen. They've gotten all these picks. But this isn't a team right now that is just looking to acquire draft capital and turn it into something in 4 or 5 years. They've come a long way. Their captain's gone. They'll have a new captain. What can they do with these picks, 9 and 25, in the short term to improve their roster and make up for the loss of Brady Tkachuk, which is huge? Ottawa's number 1 to me, and I would be shocked if we don't have a subsequent move over the course of the next little bit. And then the San Jose Sharks have to be at 5. Detroit is an honorable mention on this one, but we're going to put San Jose in it. They have the benefit of winning the lottery. They get to number 2. That's a huge bonus for them. I believe they also have they've got the 27 pick as well after the swap with Buffalo. So 2 first-round picks, so much talent. This is a team that could make a deal for a Hellebuyck type or make a big push for a top-level defenseman at a cost and have a ton of young players and obviously their franchise superstar in Macklin Celebrini set. So Ottawa, St. Louis, Utah, Buffalo, San Jose. That's the Chuds Power Poll. Connor, thoughts on the list and of teams? Is there a team that really intrigues you, or is there one that I missed that should have been on the list in your opinion?
If I was doing this, I think I'd flip San Jose and St. Louis personally. San Jose has a lot. They have the number 2 pick. Greer, general manager, came out and said today it's the most calls he's received on any asset in his whole career is that number 2 overall pick. Teams wanting to move up. The Sharks may be looking to trade it. Teams inquiring because, Ivar Stenberg is going to be on the board there, and he's obviously one of the best players in the draft. So San Jose, to me, with that number 2 pick, they have a lot of young forwards, and we already saw them make a move for Michael Kesselring on the back end. Their defense core, they don't have anyone. Like, they have all these young assets, and a lot of them are up front at forward. Are they going to take Ivar Stenberg and take another forward in the draft, or are they going to go Chase Reed at number 2 if they hold on to that pick? Do they move number 2 for a bona fide number 1 defenseman? Zach Werenski is starting to pop up on trade boards. People are putting lists out there. Is he a guy that the San Jose Sharks could be looking at? So they might want to accelerate this Macklin Celebrini timeline. They know he's one of the best players in the NHL already, and they might think, well, number 2 pick, we don't need another young stud forward in Stenberg. Let's go get a superstar number 1 defenseman, which they need. So I think the San Jose Sharks, to me, are one of the most intriguing teams in the NHL this offseason. I'd have them higher.
And you know what, Reman, when we're talking about that, bring it all back to Hellebuyck. Like, if I do want to change the scenery and I can't just go to Florida or Vegas, I'll be honest. If you're thinking about the next 5 years of your career, I think there's a lot to like about San Jose off the ice, but particularly on the ice, knowing, the core that they're building of these young, incredibly talented players just above 20 years old.
Yeah, they have Macklin Celebrini, didn't get the Hart Trophy nomination, but certainly in the conversation there. And if you have a player like that, you're always going to be a contender. Look how many more points he had than the next closest player and almost dragged them into the playoffs. So I'm curious what they're going to do. We've talked a lot how they don't really have any defensemen under contract for next season. They did make that trade, so they do have, they have a couple. They have Orlov, Dickinson, and that's not a whole lot there. So I am intrigued. I am intrigued by San Jose, and maybe Hellebuyck, if he really is about winning, say, hey, maybe not this year, but in the next 2, 3, or maybe they do make a surprise run and come ahead of schedule like Montreal did. San Jose, very intriguing. The one team, I'll give a team that wasn't on the list. We look around the Central Division, Minnesota. What are they going to do? They seem to be one of those teams, that every player wants to go to now who played for Team USA. What other cards does Bill Guerin have up his sleeve? And Dallas, very intriguing with what's going to happen with Jason Robertson, who's an RFA, and what kind of contract is he going to get? And, they are in the Central Division. Winnipeg Jets battling with all those teams. The most competitive division, I think. Very, very strong.
Yeah, this and the Met. The Met top to bottom, might be better. We've had some kind of, Chicago's been terrible for a number of years. The only reason I don't really think or talk more about Minnesota is that I just don't know what they'd be able to, what they have left. If you look at their draft picks, they've traded their first round and their second round this year. Their next 3 second rounders are gone. I guess they do have a 2027 pick to trade. But then you look at the players that they've got there. Other than Danila Yurov, who is, a relatively young Russian center, just 22 years old. He's on his ELC. Other than that, there's not a lot. Matt Boldy's got no trade protection for the next 2 years. They're certainly not moving off of him at $7 million.
Are they willing to move Wallstedt? Right? Those were the rumors. They have 2 good goalies. Are they willing to move? Wallstedt is like an elite, young, up-and-coming goalie. Do they move him? I guess that's an intriguing element. But yeah, I agree with you. Minnesota's on everyone's list, but what are they looking to move?
No doubt. One other thing I want to get to before Tyler Yaremchuk jumps on. Couldn't help but peruse. We should mention, Remis, what's coming up? I guess we could have expansion, and it's going to be in the Lone Star State, likely Houston or potentially Austin, Texas, which would be cool. They've got an MLS team, but no other teams. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the United States.
Yeah, this is breaking news right now from Elliott and other insiders at the NHL Board of Governors meetings. At the meetings, Commissioner Gray-Imagn informed the board they will be opening a process to investigate Houston or Austin, Texas for an expansion franchise. More details after the meeting is complete, but it is believed the same ownership group will lead the process deciding on which of the two cities better fits the NHL. And Dave Pagnotta, who very busy this week, was saying the potential owner he says, the NHL's been looking at another Texas franchise for some time. It's the same group that would bring a team to either Houston or Austin, pending results. Of course, Atlanta remains in the offing as a separate market, as I've been adamant about. Expansion is coming. So we have expansion on the horizon. Arizona, they don't have an arena, but they're in the back burner. And here we are for Austin, Houston. So very interesting coming out of the meetings just now.
Everyone wants another no-tax state team in the NHL. Just what we all wanted to hear right now. Great.
I did see Sean Shapiro, and he covers the Dallas Stars for DLS. He's been on this show. He said he's always been told the Stars are supportive of a Houston NHL franchise. Houston, one of the most populated cities in the United States. They've had AHL team, WHA team as well. So there's a hockey history in Houston. Interesting.
When Austin is where the Texas Stars are playing as well. I mean, that's the AHL affiliate of the Dallas Stars. So Austin's intriguing. It sounds like there's going to be one team maybe for 28, 29, and then another one afterwards. So they'll cash a couple of fat checks for the owners, bringing those two teams in, and then we're going to get to 34 teams. That is pretty wild. Quickly, Tyler Yaremchuk's going to jump in right away. I can tell you, if you want to just check out the Athletics trade board or Scott Wheeler's final mock draft, it's locked in. This is it. Vigo Bjork available and selected by the Jets at number 8, which I think would be a very, very nice development. Just to give you a quick run of the top 10. McKenna to the Leafs, Stenberg to the Sharks, Malhotra to the Canucks. Chase Reed goes off the board at 4 to Chicago. Rangers, Albert Smiths, Carson Carrolls, the Manitoba kid, going to Calgary at 6, and then Seattle taking Keaton Verhoff from North Dakota. Now he does say in the piece, I think there's a real chance Bjork goes before this, particularly to Calgary. But if he doesn't, I bet the Jets pounce and take the top center prospect their pool desperately needs. His stock is at its peak right now too. And if Bjork is gone, they probably pivot to one of the defensemen, Rudolph and Smiths being the most likely, unless of course Carroll's is available. So it should be good. Connor, you ready for BP tomorrow in the big game?
Yes, I'm fired up. This is going to be an absolute blast. We did the BP Taylor thing once, and Canada got the win. So run it back. Let's do it. And what a big game it is tomorrow as well. Love the fact that it's at 2:00, middle of the day. BC Place, going to be rocking. So really looking forward to that, and looking forward to hopefully seeing some people down at BP. That would be an absolute blast tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
You bet. All right, Connor, thanks for jumping in. See you tomorrow. Special time of noon for WST tomorrow, live from BP Taylor before the Canada-Switzerland game. Man, speaking of Canada-Switzerland, I went into Royal yesterday, and the run on Canada jerseys is incredible. But they've got so much, you should be able to find something in your size. Beautiful, authentic Davies jerseys. They've got those sick black jerseys the team wore for the Qatar game. The whites as well. The sideline jackets the players are wearing. So much cool stuff. The Royal is your World Cup headquarters. Tons of the other countries represented as well. And the other thing I was doing there was checking out bikes. Some amazing e-bikes. If you're thinking about getting into one, definitely pop by and check out Royal Sports. Soccer, softball, baseball, you name it. They are all over it. So head on down to 750 Pembina Highway, your World Cup headquarters. Get behind the Reds for the big one tomorrow. Don't forget, folks, we got 1 week today as our Goldeye game for WST. The patio party is on. Get your tickets today before they're gone. WinnipegSportsTalk.com. We will see you. Perfect day, too. Tuesday night, $2 Tuesdays at the game. And the next day is Canada Day. So you can floor it maybe more than you normally would on a Tuesday night. Again, WinnipegSportsTalk.com for tickets there. And hey, just before we get to head out to Alberta, obviously we're into summer right now, long weekends coming up. If you're planning your next adventure, make sure to start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. Looking for ideas on the go? Follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. Or if you prefer a personal touch, stop by one of their visitor information center at the Forks in Winnipeg. We'll get to our ASD picks at the end of the program. Jake's going to jump on in about 10 or 15 as well. But let's head out to Edmonton. Great to have our pal Tyler Yaremchuk on. Just another day in oil country. Come on down, Mike Babcock. He's the new head coach. How are you, my man? Great to talk to you again.
Good. I'm very excited. First off, yes, thank you for having me on. Very excited about the DJ Smith news today. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, dude, you're right there in the market.
Yeah.
You know, I obviously talk with Dusty and the guys all the time. And I mean, it seemed like this was a disaster to start, and they put the players out. I mean, when you hear Stoff and Hrabchak saying, this idea has full-throated support from the leadership group, it seemed like that was a sell job to the fans because we know that they don't trust Oilers management at all. Where are you at on all this right now? Does it make sense? Is this a crazy risk, or is this just a desperate organization looking to try to figure out a way to make something happen before the sand runs out on that egg timer on McDavid's deal?
Yes, and yes. I think you nailed a whole bunch of things there. But do I believe that the players and the big dogs, because he only spoke to McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman, do I believe that they're on board with this? Absolutely, I believe that they're on board with this. Do I think they fully know what they're signing up for? No. Do I think they could have learned everything they need to learn about Mike Babcock from a 30-minute or however long the meeting is? Like, do you think you really know the guy, or was he in salesperson mode? Like, that's probably more likely here. It's concerning on a whole bunch of fronts, and it's honestly, I feel the same way about this that I did with the Stan Bowman hiring, where like Stan Bowman came with significant baggage, and like that was a problem and something that I think the organization should have considered more. The other thing is that Stan Bowman, at the end of his tenure in Chicago, wasn't a good general manager. Like, yes, he won at one point, but the final few years were bad. So my take on it was, you're hiring a guy who might not be the best person for the job. Oh, and he comes with all this baggage. And the way I'm tying this back to Babcock, I'm not sure if he's that good of a coach anymore. On the ice with the Toronto Maple Leafs, did those teams exceed expectations once? No, they didn't. They had a couple of good regular seasons, but every year they flamed out in the playoffs and they became the laughing stock of the league with the first round exit. So on the ice, the last time Mike Babcock was behind a bench for an NHL team, it did not go well. Last time he was behind the bench or was hired to be the head coach of a team off the ice, it did not go well. And today I wanted to hear Mike Babcock say, hey, I can change, I can adapt. And that is not what we got at all. The quote from Babcock, unless you're 100, and this is him talking in the third person, by the way, which probably tells you something about his ego. Unless you're 100% all in on Mike Babcock, I have no interest in coming in and being the coach. This is not a changed man. This is not a reclamation project or a guy who wants to rewrite his narrative. This is a guy who thinks he's done nothing wrong and thinks he's the best coach in the world. The Oilers better be right, or else it's going to be bad.
It is. What does this do to, like, McDavid and Draisaitl? Like, in most coaching hires, the team hires the coaching staff, and then they show up and they work with the players. Like, fairly or unfairly, he is going to be looked at as Leon and Connor's guy.
Mm-hmm. So they better have a pretty good handle on him, is what I would say, because if there's a player in that room who is being, and again, I don't want to, abused isn't the right word, but like the thing with Babcock is that he's been emotionally manipulative. And I think that is true across the board. Yes. So if Evan Bouchard's getting bullied, if Ike Howard, Matt Savoy, if they're being treated bad, and I'm not just talking about like sitting in the press box bad, if they're being treated bad and Mike Babcock is crossing lines that he's crossed before, do Leon and Connor have the ability to walk into his office and say, enough, you're not treating guys like that? And if they do that, is Mike Babcock going to sit there and say, well, this is how I coach. You knew what you were signing up for. You told me you were, this would be Babs talking to Connor and Leon. You told me you were 100% in on Mike Babcock, and this is what you're getting. Like, I don't know. I hope there's checks and balances in place. I hope Connor and Leon have a good read on whether or not they can not control Mike Babcock, because they do need a hard-ass coach. I really think this team does need someone of that ilk, but can they keep it reined in where he is pushing them and maybe pushing them to areas when it comes to hockey that they're uncomfortable being pushed to and they've never been pushed before in their NHL career? Like, that could be good, but it can't cross a line. And if it does, are the right checks and balances in place to get it back on the rails? Because that's where this thing will totally lose control, is if it gets off the rails.
Yeah, it is funny. It's kind of been, it's put everyone off the scent of the goaltending issue for the last few weeks. That's for sure. I mean, we heard Kosa was maybe going to go there. I mean, they don't have a lot of capital right now. Everyone on their team is a freaking no move. Do you see that getting sorted out at all during the offseason?
With Kosa, I think the one thing is, like, goalies never really go for as much as we think they will. Maybe unless it's a Connor Hellebuyck or something like that, then the return could be jaw-dropping. Not to bring that in. I'll throw a little
Trust
shot
me,
at Jets.
We've already talked about it for an hour and a half. We've got more time for it if you want.
But like, I don't think Kosa would cost a ton to acquire, but in the same breath, if opening day next year, it's Sebastian Kosa, who has one NHL game under his belt, and Tristan Jarry is your tandem, is that a Stanley Cup winning goaltending duo? Does that scream confident? Like, no, it doesn't. So I've never been super sold on Kosa as much as I really like the player, and I know him a bit from my time covering the Oil Kings. But in terms of how the Oilers are going to get assets, and I know there's probably your YouTube chat's going to call me a homer and say it's copium and all this stuff, but like, I think the Darnell Nurse trade is going to surprise people outside of Edmonton. I think there is a chance that they either get out of this thing cleanly and don't have to keep any money, or if they do agree to keep $2 million, I think there's a world where they actually get some positive assets in return for Darnell Nurse. So that's where my attentions turn next, is because I think that's something that'll likely happen before around like day 2 of the draft, or at the latest, maybe a day or two before free agency. And I think once that Nurse deal happens, maybe if they get some ammo back in terms of assets they can move or flip, or maybe something that fills another hole somewhere, I think we could see Stan Bowman move towards making a big splash. Because honestly, it's going to take a pretty big splash to get this market like fully dialed in and fired up for next season. Because right now, optimism is not high.
Yeah, and the Nurse, I mean, listen, Nurse is a capable middle six NHL defenseman. Mm-hmm. It's just that he's making number one defenseman money. And you know what? Being on a team as good as the Oilers have been with the star power that they have, sometimes those mistakes get magnified in a big, big way. And he's sort of been the whipping boy. The minute Stuart Skinner was out of town, they had to find someone new. And I think Darnell was that guy. But I'm sort of with you. You put Darnell Nurse on most teams at 6, at 6.5, at even 7, I think teams are pretty happy with what they're getting out of the guy, and just how they come to an agreement on whether you're taking salary back for another player that another team is getting looking at, or whether the Oilers have to hold on to salary will remain to be seen. But I'm with you. I think there will be a market for Darnell Nurse. And I think that if he can go to a place with a little bit less noise and a little bit less pressure on him because of how much he's making, this could actually be something that makes a lot of sense for the player and potentially the Oilers as well.
Yeah, and I think one thing, and I've harped on this a lot on my various shows, but we need to rewire our brains a little bit when we view the NHL offseason, because nobody's getting to free agency anymore because every team has money and they're locking up their own guys. And, you know, in the flat cap era, the real currency was which teams had assets left over, because again, nobody really had cap space to move. And now it's going to change where every team has cap space and they like borderline don't have anything to spend it on. Like, you can go look right now at Puckpedia. There's almost a third of the league, over a third of the league has north of $20 million in cap space for this season, including a handful. 7 teams have north of $30 million in cap space for this summer. And none of them can just go, and the free agent options, I shouldn't say none of them, but the free agent options are so limited that, yeah, in past years, teams would look at a Darnell Nurse and be like, gross, I'm not overpaying by $3 million to let you out of that, you know, garbage contract. But now some front offices might sit there and say, we don't care that he's $3 million overpaid, because we're either getting that guy or we're sitting with a whole bunch of dead, empty, unused cap space for next season. So I just think that the market, like, look at Ross Colton and that deal with the Preds and the Avs. Like, I know that's obviously not as big of a name and it's an expiring deal, but over the last couple of years, that's the kind of piece, a guy making $4 million who just scored 7 goals, teams would have to like pay to get rid of that. And now you look and they were able to actually get 2 good assets for him. So I just think we have to change the way we view the offseason and these contracts, because it's a different NHL now.
Tyler Yaremchuk, Oilers Nation, how are things going at the shop? I mean, never a dull moment for you guys. I talk to the EST guys all the time. I mean, this hockey team you guys cover is just the gift that keeps on giving. You know, you go to back-to-back cup finals, and I would imagine the numbies are probably just as good as they were on the cup runs because of all the chaos around this hockey team.
Yeah, when we were doing our cup final shows the last 2 years, Liam and I on Oilers Nation Every Day would consider a show would be banging if it got more than 1,300 concurrent live viewers on YouTube, and today we got over 1,500. So the market is, again, as much as optimism isn't quite there, they are still tuning in, man. They want, it's honestly almost like they want someone to make sense of it, which I'm not sure why they turn into me and Liam for that. But yeah, man, the market is still dialed in, even if they're not quite optimistic.
Hey, listen, it's going to be a fun week. Keep up the great work over there, Tyler. Let's do this again soon. Thanks for jumping on, pal.
Whenever. Have me on whenever. Thanks, boys.
Good stuff. There's Tyler Yaremchuk with us. All right, we are going to hook up with Jake Bolin Moss. Take a look ahead to tomorrow's big game. The rest of the World Cup, England coming up at 3 p.m. Do want to thank our friends at Aikens Lake for their great support of WST, folks. If you're thinking about a world-class fly-in fishing opportunity where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens is the spot, with world-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality from the Aikens team and the Turenne family. Check them out online, aikenslake.com, or on all the social channels for more on Aikens Lake and availability for the 2026 fishing season. And hey, I got to mention, I went out and played Breezy Bend on the weekend. My God, the group, and I know a lot of golf courses are in great shape, as they should be with the weather that we've had. I've never seen Breezy as mint as it is right now. Greens were absolutely perfect. Man, I had a great time. If you are thinking about a long-term home at one of Winnipeg's top private courses for you and your family, I'd recommend you go to breezybend.ca and find out more about the opportunities this and in future seasons at Breezy Bend. You can also talk to our pal Corey Johnson at 895-7205. All right, just before we bring in Jake, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right. Heading into another World Cup match, the top of the hour, England and the Black Stars of Ghana. Let's welcome in our pal Jake Bolin from Coolbet. You watching the shop while the big bosses head out and take in Canada Swiss tomorrow in Van?
Yeah, listen to us. I'm holding down Toronto HQ here. We got the West Coast boys, Ange and Patty, ready to roll for Canada, Switzerland, a chance to win Group B. Really exciting stuff right now at the World Cup. I've been pretty dialed in, man. I know we went to the last one in Qatar, and obviously we were pretty locked in. I feel like I've been more locked in just being at home, games going on all day long. You kind of start at noon and you get right into the evening. It's real exciting stuff. I've had a piece of a lot of the games, and responsibly, it's been a pretty good World Cup for me.
Well, I just hope that you have a job at the end of the World Cup, because the books are getting absolutely murdered. We had, the 4 faves pop in on that combo card that cashed yesterday. And dude, I don't even want to ask, and I'm sure you guys probably don't want to go up the leather. The amount of blood on the books yesterday with 2 goals from Holland and Messi and Mbappe. This is, I think, a historic run for bettors at the World Cup right now. So a lot of people have a pretty nice Coolbet account today if they were riding. And by the way, Patty on the pitch never loses. I don't know whether it's those hilarious AI photos where we're putting him into Erling Haaland or some of the other players, but Patty's been hot. Those exclusives have been hot. And of course, there's been a lot of great promos around Canada, and Canada's been getting it done too. But it's all about tomorrow as we get ready for Swiss Canada.
Yeah, tomorrow sets up really nicely for these promotions. I was pushing it hard last time with the Qatar game, but Canada was such a big favorite. But tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day when you take your fan insurance, you put your money on Canada, and in a perfect world they win that game, and you get your winnings. In a poor result, and a tie is not even a poor result for us. You could place the fan insurance. Canada could win the group still with a tie. You still get 50% of your wager back. There's also an exclusive right now in Canada to win the group up to plus 101. I believe the double chance for Canada tie is minus 163. It was minus 175, so that's moved a bit. Obviously, people jumping on Canada. But we've got to boost it up to plus 101 in the exclusives right now. That's the best number in the world. So, yeah, a lot of different ways to bet Canada. There's also the halftime spins. Now, I think I mentioned that the last time I was on the show, but you bet $25 plus on Canada and the win draw loss line there. And at halftime, you get 25 free spins to the casino. So a lot of different ways to go about betting Canada tomorrow. And I think you just gotta figure out, because you're going to do it anyway. So you got to figure out the best way that works for you.
Yeah, listen, if you want to take advantage of the best number, go to the exclusives. Canada to win Group B is boosted to plus 101 from minus 170 or whatever it is. So that essentially is a bet on a win or a tie tomorrow, which is the result that we need. I will give myself a little pat on the back, and to everyone else that rode with me early on as an early believer in our team, because it was boosted to plus 245 before the tournament. And now obviously we're in a really, really nice spot going into the game. As far as tomorrow goes, just the straight up line, Switzerland plus 145, draw 210, draw plus 210, Canada plus 245. Again, only a draw is what Canada needs. And I'm looking into player goals for tomorrow. Jonathan David plus 230, Promise David plus 270. I'm not even going to consider the Swiss guys. Kyle Larin plus 280. And of course, Alphonso Davies, who we might see tomorrow, plus 440, and Tajon Buchanan plus 450. Jaden Nelson, another guy that could get time at striker, 5-1 for the group. So I think I'm back fully on. I was on Jonathan David for the redemption game against Qatar. He obviously had the hat trick. What do we think about putting something together tomorrow with maybe a draw and a Jonathan David goal?
Yeah, do you want to go draw, or do you want to set up the double chance there with the draw or win? In a perfect situation for Canada. Like,
yeah, you know what? Listen, we can't be disappointed if Canada wins the game. So yes, I think that's
what I mean. Yeah, right. Like, you don't want to.
Yeah,
don't want to put ourselves in a spot where we're rooting for a draw and then all of a sudden Canada wins and we're all like,
yeah, no,
damn, I really wish they would have just drawed the game.
We can't do that. So yeah, why don't let's put a little WST combo together, or I guess this will probably be an exclusive. But Jonathan David to score, Canada double chance. Is there anything else that we'd want to add into it? I'll tell you what. I mean, with David at plus 230 to score, why don't we just roll with that? Our guy and the team.
Nah, it's going to be juicy.
Very simple.
It's going to be juicy.
Very simple. So we will get that up. Just right now, if you're with us live, we do have a pretty good slate this afternoon. I got to tell you, I was very impressed with England's first match. I wasn't particularly inspired by Ghana's first match, but I just find that this number, England -2, is a bit big for me. I think I'm going to take, and actually I just did, take Ghana +2. So, I mean, if they lose by 2, it's a push. But I think this could be a 1-goal game. I mean, I know they look great and they had all those goals in the first game, but it's tough to just keep beating teams by 3 goals.
Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously England kind of flexed their muscles in that first one against Croatia. That's been a powerful nation at the World Cup the last, however many years. Ghana, I think they ended up winning late in Toronto. My buddy was at that game, and a bunch of us were on Ghana in that one. He said it was ugly. It wasn't pretty. So, yeah, I don't know if I want to sit here and bet against England. Myself, I just did the classic, Harry Kane to put one in the back of the net, and I think England to kind of win to 0 or something like that. I know it's starting up here in about 4 minutes, so. The thing I will say, Huss, not to get off on another tangent here, but I love how when the kickoff is set for 4 p.m., this is Eastern, or 3 p.m. Central, they kick off at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. Like, they do not miss the start of the games, and that's what I mean, baseball kind of has it too. I know they start at the weird times, like the Jays are playing today at 4:07, and they will start at 4:07. But the way that the World Cup, like how big of an event this is, and for every game to just start on time, we did have the delay yesterday with France, but what can you do? The weather was crazy. I believe it was in Philly, just rain, torrential downpour. But the way they start on time, it's so impressive to me.
No, I love it, and it's great. And the coverage from TSN and just the FIFA production. Like, I've got a lot of things that I hate about FIFA. The way these games are delivered is not one of them. I mean, if you can get into if you're at home, you got a good sound system, great. I mean, I love getting to some of the bars that have good sound that is on. I mean, watching it with a bunch of people. I mean, it has just been so much fun, and should be great. And of course, tomorrow we're gonna be all in tomorrow. Boston Pizza Taylor. We're doing the show from noon to 2, and then right afterwards the game will kick off, and we'll be live. So if you're looking for a spot to watch it tomorrow, come on down and join us at Boston Pizza Taylor. Hey, one more that I wouldn't mind throwing up for the later game, Jake. Is we've got Croatia versus Panama. Panama not particularly good. Congo as well. DR against Colombia. How about we go Croatia win to 0, Colombia win to 0. One's plus 147, one's plus 128. Let's put those together in a little 2-gamer for the late ones.
Yeah, Croatia needs it. Colombia, they buzzed that last game. I wouldn't be surprised they carry the momentum into this one. So, sometimes you just got to take the favorites, Huss. Plug your nose, take the favorites, and hope you come out on top in the end.
Yeah, we'll just get better numbers. I mean, Croatia's minus 213 to win, but plus 147 for the shutout. Colombia minus 175 for the win. but plus 128 for the shutouts. So we put plus 147, plus 128 together. That should be pretty good, and I imagine they'll probably be able to put that one up in the combo cards. But whether it's the exclusives or the combos, we'll have these up a little bit later on for the night game today. We did put together our CFL 110 parlay, and we got in at the right time on the Bombers. Bombers dipped to minus 2.5. They're now 3-point favorites. The Argos are 4.5-point dogs in Saskatchewan. And Calgary, that line was moving as we talked about it on CFL 110, as we were picking Calgary, went from 2.5 to 1.5. I think the CFL 110 parlay is Bombers minus 2.5, Argos plus 4.5, Stamps plus 1.5, and the Alouettes right now at minus 9. We're keeping that one off of the parlay. And I'm just looking to see.
Yeah, that one's not up yet, Huss. Those ones take a little bit longer because I got to get our CFL guy JV to open up the alt lines. So I like to open the alt lines and then get it up in the combo cards for you guys because I think it looks a lot better there.
Perfect.
So just waiting on those alt lines to get opened up, and then I'll get that online for you. I'll send you a screenshot and we can fire that out to the people.
The Canada Super Boost is a shot on target for Jonathan David, a shot on target for Kyle Laren tomorrow, boosted to 2-1. All sorts of other stuff in there as well. And, we'll probably spend some more time on this closer to the weekend. But for all the draft nicks, Jake, the full slate of NHL draft options is out right now, and there is a ton. We're looking at, and I see Carson Carrolls has been added. He wasn't there yesterday. He's now there. Do we have, what's the 8th overall pick? So here, this is the Jets pick, if you want to bet this, folks. Albert Smith's plus 160, Keaton Verhoff plus 180, Vigo Bjork 3-1, Daxon Rudolph 7-1, and then Malte Gustafson 18-1, 80-1 on Malholter of Belchez, and 100-1 on Chase Reed. But a full slate. Of course, we got NBA draft tonight. A little less consensus, and I'll be honest, I don't know as much about the NBA draft, so I'm going to stay away from it. But usually, a lot of these markets come off closer to the draft itself. So I would say these next couple days, if you are a big draft nick and want to get in a couple wagers, right now is the time to do it with everything being up on the board.
Yeah, NBA draft, NHL draft, it's all coming up. Gavin McKenna, you are a Toronto Maple Leaf. Can't wait to see him in the blue and white. He's saying all the right things in the interviews, Huss. And then I look over at Edmonton, and Mike Babcock's doing a press conference where he says, I'm not a changed man. I'm going to whip these boys into shape, and I can't wait to see it for old Mikey boy.
It's the guys in Edmonton are just losing it right now. It's so funny. Poker tonight, 8 p.m., everyone. I hope you'll join us. You've been to Estonia before, right? You've been there to the HQ.
I have been to Estonia. I've been to HQ. It is a lovely, lovely place. I think I mentioned it on here, but Estonia is not naturally a place you'd probably say, when we're going to go to Europe, we're going to travel to Estonia. You get a chance to get to Estonia. I think it's one of those experiences where, like, how many people do you know, have said, I've been to Tallinn, Estonia, or to Estonia. Everyone's been to Italy or Greece or London or wherever you go, Paris. But Estonia, it's a different place. And I'll tell you what, it's a really good time there.
I only knew of it through Encino Man originally. And how about that? Can you, like, world travelers, like 2 stamps on the passport could be Qatar and Estonia. Like, that's one stuff. But this trip, that a winner, whoever survives the WST Summer Poker Series, is in for a real treat. Airline, hotel, entry into the main event for the Coolbet Open. But with Ange and Pat there, this is going to be, there'll, I'm sure, be a dinner or two. There'll be the poker golf, like a bunch of stuff around it. That makes the trip, much like the Costa Rica one, but especially there being at HQ, so much more to it. So we're qualifying the first 2 tonight, Jake, and then 3 more opportunities to get on this amazing chance to get overseas and mix it up with some of the top poker players over in Europe.
Yeah, don't forget to get signed up for the poker event tonight. If you can't make tonight's qualifier, we got a few more as well. Those are all in the poker page. So really exciting stuff for WST, for poker. Don't forget about the CFL League as well. We got a couple nights until that gets started. I was being called Jake Bolin fraud in the Discord. I'm not going to call anyone out who is bullying me in the Discord, but I will say I did have 0 points in week 3 of the CFL League. So I'm falling down the leaderboard fast as we speak.
Yeah, get your picks in. The week 4 is open. And as I was mentioning earlier today, I mean, even if you haven't gotten in yet, there's a $50 prize each week. But if you nail a game, you get 20 points. I mean, the leader is at 65 right now. So it's a long season. There's still
Huss, the winner, the weekly winner this week had 30 points. So, 2 good weeks, and all of a sudden, you could be at the top of the leaderboard. I think there's still plenty of time to get in. If you've been hesitant, we're only 3 weeks in. I think jump in. A bunch of us are playing. I'm playing. I know Patty's been making picks too. I think he had a big goose egg last week alongside me. So, it's a really good time. I'm glad to be, a part of it with you guys, and hopefully we can keep it rolling, and we'll see who ends up with the big prize at the end of the season.
Heck of a lot of fun here. We can tell you that the leader, it was Izzy 999991 that won the week, but right now
Bam Bam's still holding up. I think in
won the first week are tied 65. Great Par is 60. Then Yakman 55. Big Hands Ted Lai 2 50. Rob Pepper's there. Izzy Cowboy. Lots of WSTers in here, and I'm lurking. Remis and I are both at 40 points right now, so we're lurking. But anyways, the key is just don't forget to make your picks. Put a little reminder in. We got 4 great games, starting with Thursday's Bomber Elks game. It's all up there at Coolbet. JBM, have a great one. Enjoy the Canada game tomorrow. And whether it's you or Patty, we'll catch up later on this week. Hoping, make sure to follow at Coolbet Canada and at P. Greggy. He'll have some great stuff from the March, from the game, as the fellas are there for the biggest game, another biggest game in Canadian men's soccer history tomorrow against Switzerland.
Yeah, excited for it, Huss. Excited to see the content from the game, from Patty, from Ange, and looking forward to hopefully winning Group B and moving on to a favorable matchup in the round of 32.
He will, with what a shot. Jake Bolin fraud, really?
Yeah, I know. It was right there.
Jake Bolin Moss was right there. Nicely done. Enjoy the games today and, of course, tomorrow, Jake. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, guys.
All right. T. Will with the zinger. You can't tee that up for T. Will. He'll take a swing at it every single time. Again, hope to see you guys tonight. $100 bounty on my head, $100 on Remis's head, $100 on Hammer's head, and it's $32.48, I believe, is the exchange for the entry tonight. Starts at 8, and again, last 2 players standing will win tickets to the final for the trip to the Coolbet Open. Now, Remo, how'd your picks go last night at the track?
Not great, Huss. It was an upset night at the track, and I was messaging with you last night that if you had the trifecta on race 6, a $1 bet, and you hit the top 3 in that race, you could have won like $3,000.
That's $31.54. That's the biggest $1 triactor I can remember in the 4 years of doing the picks.
Yeah, I have never seen that. And then on race 7, it was very similar to a $1 bet if you hit the top 3, $14.96, as it had 2 long shots. So I was following the YouTube chat on last night because there was like 1,300 people watching in a variety of languages on the Assiniboia Downs YouTube. And they're like, oh, this is the track where the favorites don't win. Oh, man. And I usually do bet on favorites, so it wasn't a great one. For me, I had a pretty good week last week. Thankfully, though, we've got 3 nights of live racing at Assiniboia Downs this week instead of the regular 2. So I'll try to get back on those.
I was sort of inspired today after those big long shots to maybe take a little bigger of a swing. But I got my picks ready to go. Here's what I'm looking at tonight. And I basically broke even last night. I had 1845 on a flying Tex yesterday in race 3. I'm going to do what I did yesterday, a couple $3 win bets early on. Race number 2, I'm going with number 7, Hyper Holiday to win in race number 2. In race number 3, we're rolling with number 2, Truly Unbelievable. Continuing on, did I have race 4? Yes. Oh, triactor box for race 4. 1, 4, and 8. Ghost Cowboy, Cajun Eddie, and Sarah's Vision. Only Cajun Eddie's the favorite. The other 2 not part of the program selections or AA Smart Picks. So hopefully we can get a nice number on that if we win. $2 on number 8 to win in race number 6. That's Counting on You. And then finishing it up in race number 7, $1 triactor box, 348 UVC, Brannigan, and Diamond Concerto. What do you got cooking?
Very, very nice, Huss. I'm just finalizing my picks here. 1 second. Okay, I got mine. Okay, let me just put my last selection in here. I'm doing an exacta, not a box, just straight exacta. Race 1. Let me just get this all worked out here. Sorry. Race 1, I am on Ghost Hero and Mr. Jaws. Ghost Hero, a big favorite, and then going with Mr. Jaws. That's race 1. Race 4, an exacta box, 1, 2, any order, 3, 4. That's L's and Cajun Eddie. Those are the program selections and AI Smart Picks. And race 6, I am on to win horse 4, Little Tribune. And race 7, I have to win horse 3, UVC. So I kept it simple tonight, as I didn't go for any
winners.
Yeah, so I did a couple win bets, a couple exactas. Hopefully it pays off, but the saying goes, what do you win when you win? I'm not going to be hitting any $3,000 trifecta boxes. So that's crazy what happened yesterday.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to Haggis. Huge underdog yesterday. $2 bet, paid $93, which is part of the reason why that triactor was over $3,000. Great stuff today. Thanks to Tyler Yaremchuk for jumping on. Brandon Rewucki, Connor Hrabchak. Tomorrow we will have the gang together at Boston Pizza. And don't forget, we're starting early at noon so we can be finished by 2 o'clock when we kick off Canada, Switzerland. And probably turns out it'll be a bit of a watch party there at BP. It should be banging. And again, all you WSTers, if you got the afternoon off, want to post up at Boston Pizza Taylor, would love to see you. We'll be there starting at noon. If you want to come early, grab some lunch, get a good spot to sit for the game, I'd encourage it. Otherwise, 2 p.m., it's kickoff. It'll be rocking at all BPs across the city, but we will be at BP Taylor. Tomorrow on the program will be a good one. We're going to talk to Murat and Rennie tomorrow, Reem?
Murat and Rennie, and it's Rennie's birthday today, so happy birthday, Rennie.
Yes,
and
Ren
Murat,
Dog. One more lap around the sun.
Yes, and it is Murat. Well, it's not his birthday, but he did have a great read in The Athletic, as he always does. I get the alerts on the app, and it's like, Murat has got a new article out, and I'm like, yes, instant read, instant click. He's got why the Jets should and should not trade Connor Hellebuyck, but his one from yesterday, what we're hearing about the Jets' offseason priorities as draft week begins. So no shortage of Jets conversations.
No, definitely. Rennie and Murat tomorrow. We'll get ready for the soccer game. We'll talk draft with Grant McCagg. So make sure to join us. We'll have a packed 2 hours starting right at noon from Boston Pizza Taylor. That is going to do it for us. Thank you to all of the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Hopefully we'll see many of you at the poker tourney tonight. Coolbet, 8 p.m. Click on poker, get into tournaments, and then just search WST. It'll take you right there. Good luck on the bounties on my head, Remis's head, and Jeff's head. And good luck to all of you. Be the final two to get into that final for the trip to the Coolbet Open. That is going to do it for us. Enjoy the World Cup tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Special time, live at noon from BP Taylor on tomorrow's edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.